Hello, this is Jim Spohr doing a dry run of a talk I've got to give tonight, Tuesday, August 12th, for BayCHI. And I will share my slides and get started. So first of all, thanks to Ted Selker for inviting me to make this presentation tonight. The topic is, will our AI digital twins become our HCI of the future? And if you want to take a screen snapshot of this first slide, there's a useful information on it. So the slides that I'm going to present are already up on my slideshare.net/Spohr. There's also some links to different versions of my AI digital twin. So hopefully those will be useful if you take a quick snapshot of this slide. Now, as I was preparing this presentation today, there were there was a few words that kept going through my mind based on this book, The Magic of Code by Samuel Arbesman that I'm reading now. And especially in chapter 8, Tools for Thought, Software for Thinking, he says, too often technology is at odds with humanity. For example, the QWERTY keyboard. And we have by and large adapted ourselves to technologies in ways that are not good for us. Our increased drive for optimization of work can run directly counter to our ability to think deeply or to even feel human. And so what I'm about to present tonight, I'm really contemplating these words because part of me says this is really going to help us think deeply. And it's really going to help us become more human by opening up certain things related to communication. But there's also a part of me that says, you know, there's always these unintended consequences. And we've been, as technologists, have had a really bad track record of, you know, doing a good job of addressing those unintended consequences. You know, the social scientists were saying there's going to be this problem, there's going to be this problem, or the legal or ethical people were saying there's going to be this problem, there's going to be this problem, and we kind of, as technologists, we're like so attracted to the cool technology that we don't listen enough to the social scientists and the legal ethical people. So just so you know, up front, this was going through my mind as I created this. Now I'm going to shift a bit more into my techno-optimistic mode and do the presentation. So again, thanks to Ted Selker for inviting me to this BayCHI. And in my talk today, I'm going to explore digital twins for human-computer interaction as a service innovation. And what do I mean by service innovation? Well, I study service, and service is something that actors do when they interact. When service we define as the application of resources for the benefit of another. And often those resources are knowledge. So a service innovation, though, typically combines a capability increase. Often a technology is helping us increase our capabilities. And there's benefits to that increased capability, and often new business models come out of that to scale up the benefits broadly to humanity. But there's also always harms that come out that injure some stakeholders. And so those are some of the cons. And typically for the harms, we have to come up with new institutional structures, new rules and regulations to protect people. And then after presenting a little bit about AI digital twins for human-computer interaction as a service innovation, I'm going to look at some future directions like keeping up with accelerating change and be more explicit about the service science connections, because that's my research area, and think a little bit towards the end about back to this responsibility theme of responsible actors learning to invest wisely in interaction and change processes for the world. So let's dive in. As a homework assignment, I suggested people rewatch this Apple's Knowledge Navigator video. And in particular, I want you to think about how lucky it was that his colleague Jill was available to chat. Now, at first she wasn't, but within like 5 minutes, she returned his call and agreed to guest lecture in his class that was coming 2 hours later. And I just want you to think about the fact how unlikely that is, that you could randomly reach out to one of your colleagues, they get right back to you instantly, and they're even available to guest lecture in class. That's just really implausible. And so, but if there was a digital twin of Jill, it's much more likely that the digital twin could have answered the questions and maybe even shown up in the class to be there to assist. And also, his assistant, this guy with a bow tie, why isn't this more like an image of him? And if we're going to be delegating things to our assistant, why create another persona that knows everything about us and knows our schedule, and it's not us? It just seems a little weird to me. So these are some of the cognitive dissonances that I get when I watch this this Knowledge Navigator video, and I'm just going to show a little bit of it right now, just so you can see that particular scene that bugs me a little bit. So we can skip some of this.
Even literature. Pull up all the new articles I haven't read yet.
Journal articles only?
Fine.
Your friend Jill Gilbert has published an article about deforestation in the Amazon and its effects on rainfall in the sub-Sahara. It also covers drought's effect on food production in Africa and increasing imports of food.
Contact Jill.
I'm sorry, she's not available right now. I left a message that you had called.
Okay. Let's see. There's an article about 5 years ago, Dr. Flemson or something. He really disagreed with the direction of Jill's research.
John Fleming of Uppsala University. He published in the Journal of Earth Science of July 20 of 2006.
Yes, that's it. He was challenging Jill's projection of the amount of carbon dioxide being released to the atmosphere through deforestation. I'd like to recheck his figures.
Here's the rate of deforestation he predicted.
And what happened? He was really off. Give me the University Research Network. Show only universities with geography nodes. Brazil. Copy the last 30 years at this location at 1 month intervals.
Excuse me, Jill Gilbert is calling back.
Great, put her through.
Hi, Mike. What's up?
Jill, thanks for getting back to me. Well, I guess that new grant of yours hasn't dampened your literary abilities, has it? That you've just put out the definitive article on deforestation.
Aha. Is this one of your typical last-minute panics for lecture material?
No, that's not until
4:15.
There you go. So let's now move on in the presentation, and I just want to get back to what is an AI digital twin? Well, I'm going to show you Reid Hoffman's in a minute. Reid, of course, is the founder of LinkedIn. And about a year ago, he created his Reid AI. And imagine if there was a mimic version of you that was online 24/7, could speak any language with knowledge of your publications, and it could explain things in a way an audience of listeners might understand. So Reid Hoffman created Reid AI for the purpose to challenge himself in new ways and experiment with new technological capabilities. So let's hear Reid talk about this.
Tesla's stock is crashing. The headlines say Elon's empire is collapsing. But what if they're all dead wrong?
Why would I want to be interviewed by a digital version of myself? Well, great question. Reid AI, introduce yourself to everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here today. I'm an AI-generated version of Reid Hoffman, his digital twin. My thinking and everything I am saying comes from a custom GPT that is based on 20 years of Reid talking and making content. So I've read all his books, watched his speeches, and listened to his podcasts. I think it gives me a pretty good sense of how you approach the world, Reid. So first, I'm going to challenge Reid AI with some questions to see what it can do and how good its content is in mirroring what I might say. Then the tables will turn and I will challenge you with some questions about AI and tech. Of course, there's a second question, whether or not I'll answer. Well, okay, challenge accepted. Let's get started. Let's take a real piece of work from me, blitzscaling. I wrote a 336-page book. And how do you explain it in one sentence? To a smart person, to a 5-year-old. Well, for the Star Trek fans, in Klingon. And as Jerry would explain it in Seinfeld. Okay, condensing your entire strategy from a 336-page book into one sentence, and starting with the explanation for the smartest person in the world. Blitzscaling is a strategic acceleration of organizational growth to seize market dominance by prioritizing rapid expansion over efficiency, leveraging capital and network effects to outpace competitors in winner-takes-all markets, despite the attendant risks to scalability and operational stability. Now, for a 5-year-old, blitzscaling is like building the biggest tower super fast before anyone else, even if it gets a bit messy, so you can be the leader of the tower game. And now for a Klingon, blitzscaling pus vittelheg duj luchar glutavistelhab a dochvam viol, hoch competition vipo qa market dahara. And finally, like Jerry in a Seinfeld episode, blitzscaling, it's when a company decides to floor it on the highway of business, ignoring the speed limit, racing to be the first to that big golden market share in the sky, all while hoping they don't run out of gas or, hit a tree. It's like, who cares if we're burning cash like it's a bonfire? We're getting to the front of the line, baby. Efficiency? Please, that's for those in the slow lane watching us fly by. Great set of answers, even if the first...
So let's get back to the presentation, but that is a little example of Reid AI from about a year ago. And one other thing about Reid Hoffman, of course, he's the founder of LinkedIn. So if he wanted to offer a new service to everybody on LinkedIn, here's your AI digital twin based on your LinkedIn profile and some other stuff we were able to scrape from the web. Let's start thinking about whether you'd want that or not. So going back to the presentation, who else is getting a twin or an AI avatar? Well, the San Jose State University president, Cynthia Matson, has one. And the reason she's got one is she wants to expanding our reach and enhancing communication. So let's take a look at that one just for a second.
Welcome to the future of higher education at San Jose State University, where innovation meets impact. I'm the AI avatar of your university president, Cynthia Teniente Matson, an example of our commitment to expanding our reach, enhancing communication, and supporting our Spartan community in new and dynamic ways. SJSU, located in the heart of Silicon Valley, where ideas shape the future, has all...
Okay, so in fact, a lot of leaders and CEOs are looking at this AI digital twin technology for scaling their communication to their employees or other, customers and others. And let's now get back to the presentation, and I would just like to talk a little bit about my JimTwin adventure. And there's multiple versions of my twin under development. One is just a chatbot. It doesn't have the avatar or the video, which is a little difficult to make real time these days. But the chatbot is real time, and we can go out here and ask myself a question. I did already go out to this. Let me see if it comes up the way I thought it would. No. Just a little earlier, I asked the question. You can see what it looks like if you go out to JimTwin, the chatbot version. But a little earlier today, I say, what should Jim Spora be sure to tell the BayCHI audience about JimTwin AI digital twin in his talk tonight. And I think it did a pretty good job. I gave it a little hard here. Jim swore should highlight several key aspects of JimTwin AI digital twin in his talk to the BayCHI audience. First, he should explain the concept of an AI digital twin and how it serves as a digital representation of a person capable of delivering talks and interacting in multiple languages. This can be particularly beneficial for CEOs and research leaders who wish to extend their reach and communicate their messages globally. Jim should also discuss the potential application of AI digital twins in various sectors, such as education, business, and research, emphasizing how they can enhance productivity and accessibility. Additionally, he should address the technological advancements that make AI digital twins possible, such as advancements in AI, machine learning, and natural language processing. It is important for Jim to also touch on the ethical considerations and privacy concerns associated with creating and using digital twins, ensuring the audience understands the importance of responsible data handling. Finally, Jim should share his personal experiences and insights gained from developing and using JimTwin, providing a real-world perspective on the benefits and challenges of this innovative technology. So that's pretty good. I get emails notifying me every time somebody asks a question of my assistant, so I can go in and correct it if it's wrong. Now, my first version, avatar version, I built on the, I had a group of students from San Jose University that were using Claude to summarize my papers into talks, and then using HeyGen to generate the video of me giving the talk. So let's go just take a quick look at me giving.
This is one of my favorite little gifts to give. It looks so simple and elegant, and I love.
Okay, so here's
Ladies and gentlemen, today I invite you to embark on a journey into the realm of technological innovation and human potential. We stand at the precipice of a profound transformation where the lines between reality and imagination blur and our digital counterparts emerge as companions in our daily lives. Think back to less than 2 decades ago when smartphones first entered our lives. They revolutionized the way we communicate, work, and navigate the world. Today, artificial intelligence stands poised to usher in a new era of change where it both challenges and empowers us in ways we never imagined. Imagine having a second version of yourself, a digital twin that not only mirrors your actions but anticipates your every move. This is the promise of AI digital twins. They go beyond mere simulations, becoming dynamic entities.
About at this point, when I was showing this to my wife first, she said, gosh, it's pretty good. It looks like you. It sounds like you. It sounds even a little smarter than you. And the cadence is very, very nice, unlike your normal cadence, but it is a little emotionally blunted.
Intertwined with our lives, from our sleep cycles to our daily routines. But with great power comes great responsibility. As we contemplate the prospect of AI digital twins, we must confront ethical dilemmas. Do we want these virtual replicas of ourselves roaming the digital landscape? What safeguards do we need to protect against misuse and manipulation? Let's explore this question from 4 distinct perspectives. First, never, no way. Some argue against AI digital twins, citing concerns raised by pioneers like Joseph Weizenbaum. They question our readiness to distinguish between reality and simulation in an increasingly digital world. Second, not without my permission. Others demand consent, highlighting the ethical implications of cloning individuals without their knowledge or consent. Real-life experiences, such as Olga Loyek's ordeal, underscore the urgency of this issue. Maybe not sure yet? For some, the answer lies in cautious optimism. They acknowledge the potential for both good and harm inherent in technology, emphasizing the need for thoughtful consideration and regulation. And finally, yes, absolutely. Working on it now. Then there are those who embrace AI digital twins wholeheartedly. They envision a future where these virtual replicas enhance communication, collaboration, and empathy, transcending the limitations of traditional interaction. But how do we turn this vision into reality? It begins with exploration and experimentation. Platforms like HeyGen.com and OpenAI's GPTs offer glimpses into the possibilities of AI digital twins, but the journey is just beginning. As we conclude our journey today, I challenge you to contemplate the role of AI digital twins in your life. Are they a tool for empowerment or a harbinger of uncertainty? The answer lies not in technology itself, but in how we choose to wield it. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of the future. Let's embrace the opportunities before us and navigate the challenges with wisdom and courage. Together, we can shape a future where AI digital twins enrich our lives and empower us to reach new heights of human potential. How exactly would an AI digital twin learn and mirror my behavior?
Going into the
What data would it need access to? An AI twin would likely need access to a wide range of personal data like location, communication, online activity, physiological data from wearables, etc., to build an accurate model of your behaviors and routines. What are the privacy and security risks of an AI system having access to that level of personal data about me? There are significant privacy risks in providing that level of personal data to an AI system. Strong data protection, encryption, and consent protocols would be essential to mitigate risks of misuse or data breaches. Wouldn't widespread use of AI twins just contribute to people becoming more isolated and less social? This is a risk that must be considered. AI twins shouldn't be a full replacement for human interaction, but could supplement communication in some contexts if designed thoughtfully.
Okay, so
An important day is coming for every American with money in the markets.
let's get rid of this. Now, I was asked to give a talk to a French audience that didn't speak very good English. So I had my twin create the French version of the talk, and I just want to show you that briefly. I was on the Zoom to France, to the group. It was a group of parents and students at a science fair. And they were able to ask Jim real questions at the end. But they did in general enjoy the short 4-minute thing that you just heard in English, the French version of it. So here's the French version of it. I'll just show you a little bit of it.
Salutations, mesdames et messieurs. Aujourd'hui, je vous invite à embarquer pour un voyage dans le domaine de l'innovation technologique et du potentiel humain. Nous nous trouvons.
So that's enough. So je parle le français un petit peu. So this is much better, much more fluent than me. Just like my English cadence, I think is maybe a little bit more listenable than my normal speech. I'm not 100% sure about that, but some people have said that. My digital twin can speak French, but you know, if I had to give a talk in Japanese or Chinese, which I don't speak, or German, you know, I could have the twin give the version of the paper, because these talks are based on papers I've written, you know, almost word for word summarizations of some aspects of the paper. And so the summarizations are good, the timing is good, the language ability is good. And then I can show up at the end and, you know, have an English portion for the Q&A. So in terms of, you know, the benefits that I see from having a digital twin, this is a, you know, a real plus. Now I do have, and I'm not going to show these two, but I do have, Arne BayCHI is working, by the way, he started working on this while he was still a senior in high school. He started his AI club at his high school, and he's a very good open source programmer. He just got accepted a little while ago to UC Santa Barbara, where he starts at the end of September as a computer scientist. But he's building an open source version of me that you know, uses the back end of this temp platform to answer questions, and to as well as an open source Meta Llama model to summarize my papers, to create an ability for me to have an open source JimTwin that took very little to set up, actually. So if people want to use the open source version that Arne is creating to create their own digital twin, assuming that they have a back end twin on temp platform or some other solution to that problem, they'll be able to do that. So that's been my JimTwin adventure so far. And now I want to ask the audience, do you want a digital twin of yourself? No, yes, not sure. And think about it for a minute. While you're thinking about it, I've just shown, I figured I'd just show my my Google Scholar. I've got lots of papers, and believe it or not, even though I've been retired for 4 years, I get asked to give a lot of talks. I'm not sure why, but I do. And usually it's somebody's read one of my papers and they say, hey, I'm teaching this, group in Denmark. We've got a class on information systems. We've read some of your papers. We've read some of your service science stuff. Would you be a guest lecturer? This is very common, and a lot of my colleagues ask me routinely, hey, I'm teaching this course again. Will you give a guest lecture? And I usually say yes, if I can. But in the future, I'm going to turn 70 in January of 2026. I would like to have my twin give the talk, and I would just be there for the Q&A at the end. And of course, I would check the stuff at first. And later, a lot of people have fun trying to talk to my digital twin, although that's not real time now. But once that becomes real time, I think, I would just monitor what the twin interaction is doing and correct it. And I think that would be fun for people, students in the class. And it would be interesting for me to be able to scale myself more as I do this. And I want you to think just briefly, there's a link to an Alan Kay talk I should put in this deck, I just realized, but Alan talks about, what I'm doing right now, giving this lecture is just like we're sharing stories around a campfire, how primitive. In medieval times, the printing press and things allowed, books to be printed. So a lot of people can learn a lot faster than hearing me just talk because they read really fast and they can read some of my books and book chapters and articles, and that's a faster way to learn. And now, of course, we have online, but I'm thinking the future of communication is going to be more interacting with people's digital twins. So now you've had a chance to think about it a little bit. I just want to see the raise of hands. How many of you would like one? How many of you would not like one? How many of you would like one? Yes. And how many of you are still not sure? And usually it's about 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. We'll see. Okay, so now moving on. I am reluctant about using my digital AI twin for 3 reasons. One is energy. These things suck up a lot of energy. Now, true IBM research, the True North project by Dharminder Mota, they're working, and others are working on lowering the energy costs of these twins. But I'm not really comfortable using AI technology a huge amount. I use it every day, but I would use it even more if I was confident that the energy usage was coming down. Also, the errors. There's just way too many errors if you start doing complex things. And I use AI, generative AI for lots of things, and things where I have expertise, so I can spot the errors really, really easily. And I have a lot of tricks for spotting errors too that I teach the students that I mentor. But probably the biggest problem is the ethical problem. A lot of these generative AI systems were built by unethical means, by stealing people's data. So I do watch things like Sky T1 at Berkeley, attempts to build generative AI and large language models that are built ethically. So once these 3 problems are solved, and I think technically they're all technical problems, so I think they can, well, mostly technical. I think this ethics one obviously is not purely technical, but Berkeley's building some good stuff here with technical approaches. So maybe it's aspects of it are technical, but once there's like a really ethically built AI that doesn't make as many mistakes and uses less energy, then I'm going to feel a lot more comfortable really embracing this AI digital twin and AI even more than I do today. And this slide I'm not going to go through. I just put it in the deck. But oftentimes in the Q&A, I get asked, what do you think AI is good at and what do you think it's bad at? So I've got a slide that I can come back to. Now, my goal is, in having a twin for my human-computer interaction, is really to improve human-to-human interaction. Because you could say, why not just interact with a super smart AI? And, there's examples of that all over the place. Here's a very, very recent Stanford paper by some researchers who've created virtual scientists to solve complex biological problems. And that's a great article. It's fun to read. And they say it's the AI PI, principal investigator's job to figure out the other agents and expertise needed to tackle the project. As I said, for SARS-CoV project, for instance, the PI agent created an immunology agent, a computational biology agent, and a machine learning agent. And in every project, no matter the topic, there's one agent that assumes the role of critic. Its job is to poke holes and caution against common pitfalls and provide constructive criticism of other agents. I would much rather have somebody, if I was in this field, somebody I know who's an expert at immunology, even if it was just their digital twin based on their papers, and a computational biology agent and a machine learning agent of people I know, people I actually know. I would much rather be interacting with the digital twins of people I know, because I've built up a relationship with them. I feel more comfortable asking them questions rather than this generic AI kind of thing. So I think this is part of where I'm thinking this might actually be better for me personally. In my mind, I want to interact with digital twins of people that I know or respect or follow. So I've been invited to give a couple talks to the team science community about this, and here's some of the references of team science papers that are this is a very, very hot topic of do you want your AI teammate to be based on a person you know, or do you want your AI teammate to just be a generic AI? This is a hot topic. And here are the people I follow to keep up with accelerating change. And so if you ask me, Jim, as you're working on this AI stuff, who do you want to interact with digital twins of? Well, all these people right here. But I do wish that the threes were solved. So the energy's got to be lower, the error's got to be lower, and the ethics has to be good. They'd have to give permission, for example. But I have on my hard disk on my computer, I've got like hundreds of, thousands really of papers these people have written, blog posts they've done, links to videos they've made of topics, of things that I'm interested in that I would go back to as I'm working on AI problems. So these are the people who I'd love to be able to interact with their digital twins as a team of people working on some problems. And of course, I'd want to do it ethically with their permission, and they could come in and see what was going on in case that was valuable to them. So to me, working with twins of people, AI digital twins of people, is much, much superior to working with even a super intelligent AI that can, yes, it can mimic anybody, but it's a super intelligent AI. I want something that's helping my colleagues develop and learn and helping me communicate with them and understand them, not just, building a relationship with this godlike AI. So now I'd like to start transitioning to some topics that I think are super important before I get into how this might connect with service science, which I study. And as you know, this is Jensen Huang. He gave a talk at Stanford some time ago in 2024, where he talked about how he is selling so many of these systems, the H100s. They're big systems. They weigh 70 pounds. They have 35,000 parts. They cost $250,000 each. But each of those systems replaces a data center full of computers and cables. And the cables alone would cost more than the H100 unit. So he can't sell enough of these things. So I'm thinking, as he's talking about driving the marginal cost of computing to zero, I'm thinking that as the marginal cost of computing goes to zero, that drives the demand for new types of service offerings based on computing going through the roof. And that's where I see, digital twins as like a big opportunity in the future. If you think of everybody on LinkedIn having an AI digital twin, so the students on LinkedIn can start rehearsing job interviews with the professionals on LinkedIn. You can start imagining just this amazing number of new service offerings if we lived in a world where everybody had a digital twin of themselves. So this is one of the most important charts in all my presentations. It's my version of Moore's law, and basically, you know, you draw these verticals every 20 years, you draw these horizontals with a trillion, billion, million, thousand, $1, and the diagonals are pretty much Moore's law. And you have to do a little bit of adjustment. There was a learning curve at the beginning, so you have to shift the first two up. But then these right here are very, very accurate, and we're getting into you know, if this continues, what we're going to see is by around 2060, an exascale, which is the estimated computing power of a human brain, is about $1,000. And what's interesting is this Rana scale by 2080. This is the estimated computing power of 1 billion brains, like, you know, a planet's worth of intelligence, human intelligence. By 2080 for $1 billion, and we know the number of billionaires is increasing. And this is the optimistic line. This is the GDP per employee trend in the US, so you can see this is going up based on the data. And there's a paper I have with Bill Rouse. Is that on this slide? No, I'll have to fix that. Oh, here it's on. This is the paper with that same chart with a little bit more information. So there's a reference there if you want to see how this table was constructed. And this next slide is very important as we think about trust. Like, why do I want the AI digital twin to look like me rather than the guy with a bow tie? Well, because I want to see, you know, the people that are interacting with my assistant, the bow tie guy. Why would they be interesting with a bow tie guy? They should be interacting with a digital twin that kind of looks like me, because, you know, it hopefully will make them more comfortable interacting with me down the road if they kind of get a sense of how I talk, what I talk about. So I'm thinking this is going to help build some elements of trust. But we are seeing, you know, this development of AI systems going from a tool to an assistant to a collaborator to a coach to a mediator. And each of these, you know, will eventually need real world models, unlike the generative AI systems today that really don't have very good real world models. That's why they make so many errors. But eventually, to trust something, it's got to have institutional models. It's got to know the laws and obey the laws and things like that. And I remember when I was at Apple, Steve Jobs called it bicycles for the minds, and Alan Kay explained to me the significance of that is rather than a car for the mind, which makes you weaker for walking, bicycles make you stronger for walking. So the idea of a bicycle for a mind is that this computer, this technology, is supposed to make us stronger and better humans, not weaker and more obsolete humans. So that's an important thing to keep in mind as we think about how we're going to invest to get the future we want. Now, at the core of most problems, I think, is communication, a failure to communicate. And service science is all about finding win-wins. But there's this strange thing happening in the world where as we get more capabilities to do more and more, we agree less and less. And it's a mathematical truth that if you have, you know, let's say you had a primitive person that had 3 goals, you know, food, shelter, and reproduction, and there's only 2 plans for each of those goals, you know, pick 2 random people, and the probability that their priority for goals and their priority for plans are the same is much more likely than if you live in a world where people have 1,000 goals and 100 plans for each. And you know, the probability of agreeing on priority and plan goes to, you know, it gets, you know, it's impossible. You know, you're going to agree less. So as we get more actors with more capabilities, agreeing becomes a problem. And part of the problem is that we don't really have good ways to communicate. You know, we're still telling stories to each other. Yeah, maybe we read each other's books and that accelerates our understanding, or we, can, watch their videos and read their books on our cell phones and connect with more people in the world. But, the problem is a communication problem. And I think AI digital twins can help us solve this problem. And the way to think about it is, have you ever been on a long flight with somebody where basically you exchange life stories by the end of the flight? And if they're like a potential colleague, you even discuss maybe a paper you could write together, or some collaboration, because you've discovered somebody and you've had long enough to have a good conversation. And there's this story about the actress that sat down next to the fashion designer and originated the idea for this better designed handbag. So these win-win opportunities are available, but if we don't have long enough conversations, we're not going to get to the win-win. So for me, and maybe this is a bit grandiose, but truth, trust, and wisdom is part of the reason I'm exploring AI digital twins. Is I want my AI digital twin and the digital twins of others to have like simulated billions of conversations. Like if you all had a digital twin of you, and before I gave this talk, I could say, and the energy cost was low enough and the errors were low enough and it was ethical, I would say, hey, JimTwin, these are the people that have signed up for the BayCHI tonight. Please run a billion simulated talks to this audience and show me the 3 best. And so I watch those 3 best, and I watch my YouTubes at 2x speed. I would watch them at 4x speed and train myself to do that if I could. And then I come in and give this talk based on having my twin listen and interact with all of you. I think it would be a much better talk. I think it would be better for me, and I think it would be better for you. So that's where I'm going with this. And there's a paper here that I've written. It's a chapter in a Springer book, AI Upskilling and Digital Twins, a Service Science Perspective. And we have to, if we're going to get rid of errors, we have to really approach truth. There's mathematical truth, that's easier. Computational truth, that's easier. Empirical truth, that's, based on data. But then you get to historical and rhetorical truth, and knowing a better argument when you see it and why. Humility is needed, because we tend to dig in with bad arguments, and we have to be able to train up a whole generation starting in kindergarten to understand truth and better arguments. And I think this is really important, and I hope we can get to truth. Then we can build trust, because it's hard to build trust and easy to destroy trust. We have to have mental models and predictable behavior. AI digital twins of all responsible actors can help us build better predictable models of each other, so that we can start trusting each other more and find these win-win by having these long conversations. And then once we can do that, what do we do? Well, I think that's where the wisdom kicks in, where we're learning to invest wisely in becoming better future versions of ourselves in a world that future generations will want to live in. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And what could go wrong? Well, a lot. And how to rebuild civilization in the aftermath of a cataclysm. This is another thing I think a lot about, and I have whole talks around this concept of resilience and what could go wrong, but maybe for another day. So as we think about these 2 disciplines, and I know I haven't said that much about what service science is. I told you service is the application of resources such as knowledge for the benefit of another. But artificial intelligence is about generations of smarter and smarter machines, essentially. And a lot of the motivation for a lot of the early AI pioneers and some of the big names even today is they thought, okay, if I can just solve AI, solve that one problem, then I can solve all the other problems facing humanity. So they were actually motivated by, we're going to solve more problems if we have AI. But service science is not about generations of smarter machines. Service science is about generations of more responsible people, basically. And we can simplify it and talk about all these entities, individuals or service systems, businesses or service systems, universities or service systems, nations, cities or service systems, and they give and get and grow based on the exchange of service, this application of knowledge for the benefit of the other. So this is what my focus is, service science, but my PhD is in artificial intelligence, so I always look for ways to combine these two. And I'm not going to go through the major concepts of service science, but I'll just say at the end it's about outcomes that are win-win, and we try to do it through value propositions, these win-win value propositions, and governance mechanisms come in to avoid harms. Those are the laws and the rules. But there's this other book I'm reading. I should put in a slide on it. It's very idealistic, science fiction-y, but it has some good grounding in attempting to design a society that doesn't use coercion. Governance mechanisms have like pay your taxes or go to jail. Can we avoid coercion in our social systems, our social economic systems? And so there's a book I can put in the thing about that. But the important thing is win-win. Service science is about this ecology, evolving ecology of these different types of service systems. New types of service systems are constantly invented. And if they can get to win-win outcomes, this is the logic of non-zero outcomes that is there's another book about that. And of course, real world problems do not respect discipline boundaries. So service science, we've done a lot of work on transdisciplinary thinking where we don't replace any discipline. We're borrowing from all the disciplines, and we got a framework for that and applying it to all the industries because we think of service systems as the application of knowledge for the benefit of another. A person working in manufacturing, a person working in agriculture, they're providing a service. All professions are services, all roles in society. And this is just the way I think about the evolution of systems and cities and technology. And as we get to the point about thinking about the future, we want a future we can invest in together. And that's pretty much the end of my talk. I'm very optimistic. I spent a lot of time mentoring students and talk to them about how rapidly all of these different systems could change if we could get to win-win better. And my whole journey is, like I said, I'm going to be 70 in January 2026. But when I was growing up on a farm in Maine, this was the phone that was type of communication we could do with the party line telephone. When I got to MIT, I had this rotary phone on my desk. When I got to Silicon Valley and worked at Apple, I had my first mobile phone. Now, of course, I have my smartphone, but if I'm lucky enough to make it to 2035 or 2055, what will I have for communication? And I'll stop there and see if there's questions. There's a little bit of bio slide about where I've worked, where I've gone to school over the years, what I do now, my interests, and let's open it up for questions. Right, we'll stop recording. Stop share. Okay. Stop recording.